Welcome back to the Michigan Football Report. We are on part 2 of our feature. We're bringing back for the summer Michigan Football 2019, True or False. I am James Yoder, the undisputed, undefeated king of Michigan football media, WBA, WBO, welterweight, heavyweight champion of Michigan football media. All right, let's take a look at it. I've got 6 questions for you. I want you guys to be answering right along with me. Let's see what the consensus is there for the Michigan football mafia on YouTube, on Facebook Live. So will Michigan have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers in 2019? And where do I get off even asking this question? James, you're crazy. Well, you know, there was about a 15-year period where Michigan had a 1,000-yard receiver every single year. But I want to ask you guys to start answering below on YouTube, on Facebook Live. Type T for true, type F for false. Now, this will be a huge jump if anyone's saying true out there, because look at the wide receiving leaders from last year, the returning wide receiving leaders. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, kind of neck-and-neck receptions and yards. Then you have a massive drop-off. Sean McCune returning with only 14 catches for 122 yards. And Oliver Martin, if he returns to the team, up there at number 4, obviously no Tariq Black because he only played in a handful of games. So type T for true, type F for false. I'm expecting an overwhelming amount of Fs for this one for false. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, Tariq Black, all 3 what I think will be NFL caliber receivers by the time they leave the University of Michigan. With a better offense, I think we could have 2 last year. You had 2 guys at 600 yards, the better offensive game plan, I should say. And you think about Josh Gaddis. Last year, Jerry Jeudy, 1,300 yards, and then you had Jalen Waddle at 850. So they weren't too far off. I understand that was Alabama, but Henry Ruggs was 750. Irv Smith was 700. Devonta Smith was 700. They had 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had like 5 guys with over 600 yards. So I think Michigan will be distributed out less than Alabama was last year. Certainly more, I think, there's like kind of the haves and the have-nots for Michigan this year. You've got 3 big-time haves and a lot of what I think will be have-nots. The pass distribution will be very heavy to DPJ, to Nico Collins, and Tariq Black. So with that being said, I'm going to go out on a crazy limb here. I'm going to say true. I think Collins and DPJ will both right over 1,000, 1,100 yards max. You have a significant drop-off down to Tariq Black, 600-700 yards, and then another kind of drop-off to a handful of guys with 200, 100, 300 yards, potentially. Just seeing how this offense gets going. Might see Mike Sainer still have 35 catches, but only 300 yards because he's doing a lot of bubble screens and under. So I say true on that one. Answer below in the comments, YouTube and Facebook Live. All right, next question. Will Michigan go undefeated at home on Michigan football, true and false? Part 2 here on the Michigan Football Report. Why don't I go from you guys? Type 1 for true. Type 2 for false. This is one of the better home schedules we're going to see as a Michigan football fans. One of the best we've ever seen, and certainly the way it's stacked up, it'll just keep getting better and better if you're a fan going to the games. If you're watching on TV, maybe it doesn't matter as much. Gets off a little weird with Middle Tennessee State, Army, 2 teams that Michigan doesn't often play. Middle Tennessee State going to be a night game, Army going to be a noon game. Those were announced last week. Then you've got a snoozer versus Rutgers, homecoming versus Iowa. So you've got 3 teams that won 8 or more games there in your first 4 home games. Then it gets dicey. Then it gets exciting. Your last 3 home games, kind of end of October through the Ohio State game. You've got Notre Dame, Michigan State, Ohio State. Look at Ohio State and Notre Dame's records last year. 25-2 between those 2 programs. Michigan State obviously took a step back, but Michigan is favored in all of their games next year. According to the Golden Nugget, a respected Las Vegas sportsbook and casino, Army, 17.5 point favorite. Iowa, 12. Notre Dame, 6. Michigan State, 13.5. Ohio State, 3.5. Now, we all know Michigan was favored against Ohio State last year. We saw what happened. 62 points. 62-39. Sorry about that, guys. Just was in San Antonio all weekend. Have a little bit of a cold, I guess. Type 1 for true. Type 2 for false. If you think Michigan is going to go undefeated in 2019 at home, my answer, I'm going to go false. I mean, let's be real here. Michigan hasn't beat Ohio State in 7 years. Jim Harbaugh 0-4. I'm not going to start proclaiming, like I have been accused of in the past, of Michigan homerism and greatness until it's proved on the field. Now, I think Jim Harbaugh is going to have a fine squad this year. Should have the best offense under his 4-year tenure at Michigan. But until you prove it, I am not going to just go total homerism when you've got Notre Dame Michigan State and Ohio State ending that 7-game home stretch next year. But that is my answer, false, for Michigan going undefeated at home next year. All right, are you watching on YouTube? Yes, of course you are, or maybe Facebook Live, either one. If you're watching and you haven't hit subscribe yet below the video, or go to YouTube and do it, it's youtube.com/MichiganTV. Head over there if you're watching on Facebook, or press the button subscribe so you know every time we have a new video here at Chat Sports, the Michigan Football Report. Or if you want to take us on the go, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. If you've got an iPhone, type in chatsports.com/Yoder on your Safari browser. It'll drop you right there. Or on Google Play, type in Michigan Football Report. Press subscribe. You'll get an alert every time we have a new show. Next up, true or false, Michigan football 2019. Let's take a look. Will Michigan win the Big Ten in 2019? Whew, it has been 15 years, folks. They've competed plenty of times, of course, but 2004, a year they lost to Ohio State, might I remind you, that Michigan has won the Big Ten. So comment below, A for true, they will win the Big Ten. B for false, they will not win the Big Ten. Now, Michigan's been right there in pretty much every season. Not for the, if not for the dropped punt versus Michigan State in 2015, they would have gone into the Ohio State game and win, and you're basically Big Ten champs if you take care of business in the Big Ten title game. Made the Big Ten title game with a win over Ohio State in those 3 seasons, but alas, 15 happened. But in 2016, 2018, they went into those games with an opportunity to win the Big Ten. A for true, B for false. Let's take a look at Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, 10-3. That kind of disaster 17 season where it seemed like things were going to work out, but then 3 straight losses, Wisconsin, Ohio State, bowl game, you finished 8-5. Came back last year with 10-1, 10 straight wins last year. You lose your last 2 again. So 3 straight years losing the Ohio State game, losing the bowl game. Jim Harbaugh's record at Michigan, 38-14. Might I add, 8 of those 14 losses have come after November 15. So he needs to kind of, once the holiday season comes around for Jim Harbaugh, he kind of has forgot how to win as Michigan's head coach. And you see with these results versus Ohio State, blowout in even years, close games but losses in odd years. 42-13 his first year they lost. Then in the famed 2-3 game in 2016, JT was short, I think so still. Lost by 11 after being up 14 in the first quarter in 2017, and then blown out again last year in Columbus, 62-39. Let's take a look at Michigan versus Jim Harbaugh versus Michigan State. Should be 3-1 if not for the 2015 debacle on that punt, but 2-2. On his career at Michigan, beat him last year by 14 points on the road, has yet to beat Michigan State at home as coach of the Wolverines. Let's take a look at his record versus rivals his road record at Michigan, which I think is going to be the big differentiator this year. We've got those 3 big games at home, 4-1, 2-2, 3-2, and 3-2. Those are not the type of records that you're going to win championships with if you were going to be a championship level, if you're going to be that kind of program that Jim Harbaugh wants at Michigan. So will Michigan win the Big Ten in 2019? A for true, B for false. Yoder says false. Again, just like the last one, I am a prove it no longer. Why get caught up? I'm not drinking anymore of this blue Kool-Aid like Webster and the blog boys are trying to feed you with their nonstop state-driven hype media. Okay, I am the realist. I'm saying false until proven otherwise. And by the way, I hope I'm proven otherwise because I'm kind of sick of losing to Ohio State every single year. All right, next one. Will Michigan be ranked in the top 5 entering the Ohio State game? Which people might say, well, if that's crazy, they lost to Ohio State 4 straight years, but entering the Ohio State game, going into it, and they've actually done it 2 of the last 3 years. But want to know from you guys, type 3 for true, type 4 for false. Will Michigan be ranked against Ohio State in the top 5 entering the Ohio State game? We'll take a look here in a moment at their rankings when they've kind of entered that Ohio State game. But we all remember 2016, the 2-3. Last year, Michigan goes into that game ranked number 4. You see the first year, Michigan was ranked number 12. All right, they could have been ranked in the top 6 or 7, yet for the dropped punt versus Michigan State. Got blown on that one. 16, number 3. 2017, they already had 3 losses, unranked in 2018. So 2 of the last 3 seasons, they've entered the Ohio State game with a chance to go to the Big Ten championship with a win, and you're basically into the college football playoff. But I want to know from you guys, will Michigan be ranked in the top 5 entering the Ohio State game? 3 for true, 4 for false. Yoder says true. I'm going to go with the true this one. I think the season will mirror last year's. They will have a loss either to Michigan State, Notre Dame, Penn State, or Wisconsin. They'll lose one of those games, come into the Ohio State game, ranked inside the top 5, probably against a top 5, top 6 Ohio State team. Winner goes to the Big Ten title game again, and we'll see if Jim Harbaugh can get it done against a 39, 40-year-old Ryan Day with 0 head coaching experience. If Michigan doesn't win this year, folks, I don't tell you. I think your hopes and dreams are going to be all crashing and burning because Jim Harbaugh will not get it done if he cannot get it done in year 5 versus Ryan Day. Father's Day is upon us, and I want to give a shout out to all the Michigan dads, sons, daughters out there. So here's what we're going to do for the next show. We talked about this on True and False Part 1, so we've already done it. Thank you very much. If you haven't seen that show, here's another opportunity. Go ahead and tweet me at James T. Yoder, James Yoder. James T. guy he's done and over with, okay? At James Yoder on Twitter, I've pinned a tweet to the top of my feed calling for tweets. So you can either reply to that one or just tweet at me, tag me in a tweet of you and your son or daughter, of you and your dad for Father's Day. If you're rocking Michigan gear like myself and my dad there at the Final Four last year, all good. You can also tag us in a photo on Instagram at Michigan Football Report. On Instagram, there's a photo of me and my son in a Cubs game last year. And lastly, you can DM the James Yoder Michigan Football Facebook page. Hit us in the DM if Facebook is your platform of choice. You can't respond to this video, unfortunately, with a photo. So Father's Day shout-outs, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We will put all of them on our next show once we get a couple dozen of them. So thank you for participating, and happy early Father's Day to all of you. And while you're on the internet, while you're on your social media, give Michigan Football Report a follow. As of Monday, we're at 915 followers. We're trying to get to 1,000, baby. If we get to 1,000, maybe the Chroma Key Express can take us all the way out to Hawaii for an episode. I don't know about that. Maybe that's what the surprise is, but I'm going to hook you guys up with a big-time surprise once we get to 1,000 followers. So please follow us, put all my best scoops on Instagram. All right, keep it rolling. Michigan football, true or false, will Shea Patterson throw for 30 touchdowns in 2019? Go ahead and type C for true, type D for false on this one. Shea Patterson, will he throw for 30 touchdowns this season? Let's take a look at his stats last year for some context. 65% passing completion on the year, 2,600 yards on the dot for Shea Patterson, but only 22 touchdowns, folks. 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So will he throw for 30 in 2019? I want to give some context here for Josh Gaddis. Take a look at Alabama last year. Tua Tagovailoa, 43 touchdown passes. Jalen Hurts is back up and played a little bit, 8. So they had 51 between their top 2 quarterbacks. Michigan nowhere near there. Let's take a look at the stat leaders for all of college football. Coming up in a second here, we've got Dwayne Haskins. You all know Dwayne Haskins, the famed Ohio State quarterback, top 20 pick in the NFL draft, threw a 50-burger on the season. Tua, 43. Kyler Murray with 42, and Gardner Minshew from Washington State with 38, Will Grier 37. So even if he gets to 30, he's not going to come anywhere close to being in the top in the country with all these passing offense out there. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama, Washington State, West Virginia. But where would he rank in Michigan lore, Michigan football history? He'd obliterate the record, the long-standing record by Elvis Grbac way back in the early 90s. Chad Henne is a true freshman in 2004. Navarre almost beat it, and then Henne's other couple seasons in there when he wasn't injured, 23 and 22 touchdowns for those quarterbacks in Michigan's past. So will Shea Patterson throw for 30 touchdowns? C for true, F for false. Type it below in the comments on the Michigan football YouTube channel, Michigan Wolverines by Chat Sports Facebook. Yoder says, I'm going to go with true. I just can't see a way that Michigan is a successful season if they don't throw for 30 touchdowns. That's less than 3 per game. And with the running back, production so limited coming in this year, I don't see there's any way that they cannot, with Josh Gaddis' offense in this new passer-friendly era. I think it's going to be true. He'll get anywhere from 31 to 35 touchdowns, but still won't even make the top 5 or 10 in the country, as you saw with that previous graphic. All right, next one, last one. Will Michigan beat all 3 rivals in a season, something Jim Harbaugh has yet to do in his 10 years, 4 seasons as Michigan's coach? Will Michigan beat all 3 rivals? Go ahead and start typing below 5 for true. If you type in 5, you think he's going to beat Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan State in the 3 home games If you're typing 6, maybe you're more of a realist, and that means false, they will not. Let's take a look at his record versus those rivals in his 4 years as Michigan's coach. 0-4 versus Ohio State. 2-2 versus Michigan State. Could have another win, of course. We know that could be 3-1. And 0-1 against Notre Dame. Let me do some quick math here, folks. That's a losing record. That is 2-7 versus those 3 rivals. And you think they're going to beat all 3 in 1 year? Well, take a look at his record versus Ohio State. 2 close games, but even the 1 close game in 2017 when John O'Corn was the starting quarterback, Brandon Peters, who is now transferring maybe to Bowling Green, was hurt. They still lost by 11 after leading by 14. It was a 25-point swing. So he really hasn't even been close, folks, outside of JT was short on the road in 2016. So going to break that streak? Maybe. I don't know. How about this streak? 0-2 at home versus Michigan State. You've got the 2015 drop fumble, 16-18 you've got wins, and then in 2017 the monsoon game, the night game against Michigan State. So type in 5 for true, type in 6 for false. Obviously we know they lost a kind of a boring, close, really frustrating game at Notre Dame to start last year. Yoder says, I'm a realist here. False, I think it's going to be Notre Dame or Ohio State, maybe both. I think they'll get it done versus Michigan State this year, but I do not think it is going to be a 3-0 against those 3 teams, especially with how stacked those games are towards the end of the year. All right, that is Michigan football, true and false. Number 2, if you didn't watch number 1, go back and find it on YouTube. We will see you later in the week with some Michigan football rumors. Go Blue. Hey there, Michigan football fans. Thanks so much for watching the Michigan Football Report. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We've got Michigan football news, rumors, recruiting information, and inside access to the Michigan football program. You ready for another Michigan football video? I got you hooked up right here. Go Blue.